G20 has just ended, right? Concluded. So we'll be discussing the details, or we will be analyzing about the G20 in general. Okay. Now 2022. Why G20 is most important? Because the presidency was India. Okay. So the news is the G20 Leaders Summit 2023 concluded recently with Prime Minister Narendra Modi handing over to the next G20 presidency will be Brazil. Okay. President to the President of Brazil, the country that will officially assume the presidency of the grouping on December 1, 2023. Okay. Now we'll be discussing now we'll be seeing what is G20. G20 was founded in 1999 after Asian financial crisis. Okay. It is an intergovernmental body. That is the most important thing. It is formed by the government at the government level. Okay. That is why it is an important body. Okay. Now, G20 members represent 85% of global GDP, over 75% of global trade, and about 2/3 of the world population. This marks the importance why G20 is very important right now and every time. Okay. Because the 80% of the global GDP is contributed or is in the G20 country members. Okay. Over 75% of the global trade and about 2/3 of the world's population is by them. We'll be seeing the members. Okay. An easy way to identify is first remember the G7, then add one, then the other countries. You need to mug up the G7 countries. So by understanding this, I think you'll be having easy to remember. Okay. First is G7 countries. G7 countries are Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, UK, and USA. These are the G7 countries. Canada, France, Germany, Italy, UK, and USA, Japan. Okay. These are the G7 countries. Plus one. Initially, it was G8, but later Russia was out of the G8. Then it became the G7 again. Okay. Because of the Crimean War. That is the reason for Russia being out of the G7 initially. Crimean War. Okay. So G7 is Canada, France, Italy, Germany, Japan, UK, and USA. Then plus one is Russia and the other countries. Other countries including Argentina, Australia, Brazil, China, India, Indonesia, Mexico, Saudi, South Africa, South Korea, Turkey. And along with the grouping, European Union. Okay. 19 countries plus one grouping. That is G20. The grouping is European Union. So first we will study G7, then 1 plus 1 is G8, then the other countries. Okay. G7 countries are Italy, France, Germany, Japan, UK, USA. Okay. Canada. Then plus 1 is Russia. Then the other countries, which include Argentina, Australia, Brazil, China, India, Indonesia, Mexico, Saudi, South Africa, South Korea, and Turkey. Plus one union is European Union. Now, again, plus one union is now there, African Union. In the 2023, African Union became part of this. You need to remember these countries, member countries, because there is a possibility that in the prelims there will be it will be asked. Okay. So members of G20 we discussed was first one is G7. G7 was Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, UK, USA. Then G8 plus one is Russia. Then we added was Argentina, Australia, Brazil, China, Indonesia, India, Saudi Arabia, South Africa, South Korea, Turkey, Mexico, plus European Union, and African Union. Okay, African Union became a permanent member of the G20 during the Delhi Summit 2023. Okay, now we'll be discussing the key outcomes of the G20, which happened in 2023. First one is induction of African Union as a permanent member. Okay, this was initiated by India mainly. Okay, included by India. That is the major achievement of us. Okay, India has moved to include African Union as a member of the G20 in June of this year has paid off. African Union become a permanent member of G20 during the Delhi Summit 2023 and will have the same status of European Union. Okay, first one and the most important part is Africa is getting represented. African Union is getting represented. Okay. Now, next one. Launch of Global Biofuel Alliance with India, US, and Brazil as co-founder members. Biofuel Alliance. This is one of the India's led new renewable energy alliance. Okay, similar to International Solar Alliance, which is also headed by India and France. Okay, similarly, Global Biofuel Alliance. The Global Biofuel Alliance is an initiative by India as the G20 chair. Alliance intended to expedite the global uptake of biofuels through facilitating technology advancement, intensifying utilization of sustainable biofuels, shaping robust standard setting and certification through the participation of wide spectrum of stakeholders. This means that sustainable use of or sustainable production, okay, in which many countries will be facilitating and many countries will be helping each other with technology and advancements. Clear? Okay, so G20 Biofuel Alliance. This was another important decision or outcome of G20. India along with US and Brazil as the founder. International Solar Alliance, who were there along with India plus France. Okay, this is also an important renewable energy or important to energy resources. Okay, this is headed by India along with France. Similarly, India has now with Global Biofuel Alliance with US and Brazil. Clear? Okay. Now the next one is okay. Okay. Announcement of India, Middle East, Europe Economic Corridor. India, Middle East, Europe Economic Corridor. Okay. So India along with Middle East including Saudi, UAE majorly. Okay. India, Middle East, Europe. India, Middle East including Saudi, UAE, and Europe including European Union and other countries of France, Germany, and Italy. Okay. So India, Middle East, European Economic Corridor. It includes India along with Saudi Arabia and UAE plus European Union, Germany and Italy. Okay. Germany, Italy, and France. The major purpose of this alliance is economic corridor. This itself means that something of economic importance, right? Economic upliftment. And this is mainly includes the transportation sector, mainly railways and sea lanes. Okay. So it includes the network or it includes the development of network of transports which includes railways and sea lanes in these three continents, in these three countries. Okay, mainly India along with Asia, Europe and Middle East. Okay, from Asia, India is involved. Okay, from Middle East, Saudi and UAE. Okay, from other countries from the Europe as well. Its primary objective is to promote economic development by fostering integration between Asia, Arabian Gulf, and Europe. Okay, so with this, what is the importance or what will India be benefited? India will be benefited by 40% of trade because we are developing sea lanes and railways as well. India is blessed with nearly 7,300 kilometers of coastline. Okay, meaning India has accessibility, huge accessibility with every seas, right? So with the development of transportation including sea lanes as well. Okay, so this will enable us to increase our trade by nearly 40%. That is why the economic cooperation or economic coordination is happening. Clear? Now, next one is New Delhi Leaders Declaration. Okay, New Delhi's Leaders Declaration 2023. This mainly means that we are integrating or we are cooperating. Every country is cooperating with each other without any exception in every field of sustainable development. Sustainable development including even in the financial sector, digital infrastructure, climate finance, and even in the agriculture or in the environmental sector as well. Okay, in every sectors, every country has decided to coordinate with each other without any exception. That means it has 100% consensus from every individual countries. That is the major achievement of this. Okay, unanimous adoption of G20 New Delhi Leaders Declaration 2023. All 83 paragraphs of the 2023 G20 New Delhi Leaders Declaration was unanimously approved, achieving a remarkable 100% consensus, even with China and Russia in agreement. Okay, every single country or member country of G20 has agreed to this. Okay, New Delhi Declaration has impressive coverage in the area of sustainable and inclusive growth, to the 2030 Agenda of Sustainable Development, international trade, climate change and finance, improved access to medical countermeasures for health emergencies, debt vulnerabilities, digital public infrastructure. Okay, in every area or every arena, it is coordinating and participating with each other for betterment. Okay, that is New Delhi Leaders Declaration. The big striking point was that Ukraine and Russia conflict was not addressed, which was addressed in the detail in 7 paragraphs. See, even with the differences between the countries, then also they are ready to accept it or for inclusive growth and sustainable development. That is one of the biggest achievement of G20. Okay. So till now we have discussed about, first was African Union was adapted as the permanent member in G20. Second one was Global Biofuel Alliance along with India, along with US, France, Brazil. Okay. Now the other one is India, Middle East, Europe Economic Corridor. It was mainly for improving the transportation, mainly in the railways and sea lines. Okay. The next one is New Delhi Leaders Declaration 2023. Okay. Now, the achievements of G20. Okay. First one is Delhi Declaration. New Delhi Declaration was mainly regarding the New Delhi Leaders Declaration, which we studied just now. Okay. This was because we are coordinating in every sectors of sustainable development and inclusive growth. Clear? It is a diplomatic win for India for building consensus at the G20 summit in Delhi for the New Delhi Declaration. 100% consensus on the New Delhi Leaders Declaration is an achievement for India and the extremely polarized world. This was achieved by arriving at a formulation that Russia's invasion of Ukraine does not need to be explicitly mentioned. Okay. Now, in 2022 G20 Bali Declaration, in which Russia was described as the aggressor and asked to withdraw its troops from Ukraine fully and unconditionally. The New Delhi Declaration refers only war in Ukraine and notes with deep concern the immense human suffering and the adverse impact of war and conflicts around the world. This means that mainly in this one, everyone is specified and everyone is addressed. Okay, we have won everyone's hearts and mainly included in the consensus. That is why we have succeeded in the consensus procedure. Clear? Now the next one is India as the voice of Global South. See, Global South and Global North are two countries, mainly two areas. Mainly the majorly developed areas and highly developed countries are majorly in the Global North, Northern region, majorly. Okay. It doesn't mean Northern Hemisphere and Southern Hemisphere. No, it doesn't mean like that. It just means that Global North means highly developed countries which are present in extremely northern areas. Okay. Now the Global South includes us, countries like us, and Africa, etc., which are undergoing in development only. Okay, that is why Global South. So, issues of interest of the Global South have all along figured in the G20 agenda. India, at the very beginning of its presidency, gave the Global South as much higher profile by organizing Voice of Global South Summit with participation from 125 countries. Okay, India have tried to achieve the participation, or India have tried to achieve the interactions from other countries as well for development or promoting the development of Global South. Okay. Also, the issues of concern of the Global South figure right through the New Delhi Declaration. That is what? That is the result of consensus only. Okay. Now, the other important achievement in the Global South addresses the inclusion of African Union in the G20 members as the permanent member. Okay. Now, India has always tried to be the permanent member in United Nations Security Council. Okay. US President reaffirmed its support to permanent membership. That is another important achievement for India. Okay. Why India is not what accepted as a permanent member? Because of China's opinion. Okay, China is not included with China is not accepting our permanent membership. Okay, that is the reason. But now it has get affirmed from other countries as well that it will support India in its permanent membership. Okay. Now, People's G20. Now, democratic approach. Though the summit was conducted mainly in New Delhi, but it was also extended to other countries as well. The people of other states as well. Meaning the whole of our country was involved in the process. People of our country was mostly involved in the G20 presidency. Okay, that is why the PM called it as a People's G20. Okay. One of the highlights of India's G20 presidency is the democratic approach. In a break from tradition, international delegations ventured beyond New Delhi, reaching small towns and cities across the country. This was deliberate move to democratize the G20, making it inclusive and representative. In more than 60 cities across the country, more than 200 meetings have been taken place. Okay, that is what important. Now, the other thing is promoting multilateralism. Majorly, multilateral banks or World Bank and other multilateral organizations were also involved or were also included in the G20. Okay, so they also committed to help every G20 country or Global South country or majorly the countries which are in the backlog side, okay, to help, which will in turn result in the development of multiculturalism. Okay, so multilateralist support from other institutions like financial institutions like World Bank, etc., is also involved in the G20. Okay. India's G20 presidency always gave priority to reformed multilateralism that creates a more accountable, inclusive, just, equitable, and representative multipolar international system. Okay. The leaders committed to pursue reforms for better, bigger, and more effective multilateral development banks such as World Bank to address global challenges and maximize developmental impact with the continued focus on addressing the development needs of low and middle income countries. Same thing. The majorly these banks, World Bank also, etc., provides credit or grant to the countries of low income or middle income country. This was once again reimbursed or reconsidered in the G20 as well. Okay. Now, climate change. The other important is lifestyle for environment. Okay, this is a behavior-based movement. Mainly, our lifestyle will how it will influence environment. Okay. Now, climate change is a key priority of India's presidency. As the issue of climate change cut across industry, society, and sectors, India presented the world with life. Life is lifestyle for environment. Okay. Lifestyle for environment. Okay. So, meaning green lifestyle, more into the green lifestyle. That includes green building code. When we build a building, we need to address the green, how it will be the energy or solar energy, etc. Renewable energy, will it be using renewable energy? How much greenery will be there in the environment when the building, etc. When it fit in a case of residential building, etc. Okay, that are all were introduced in the country, and this are all addressed in the G20 as well. The theme of India's G20 presidency, Vasudhaiva Kudumbakam, or One Earth, One Family, One Future, closely ties with life. Okay. Also, the Global Biofuel Alliance is also an important purpose. Right? Biofuel, we are not using fossil fuels or like coal or oil, etc. Okay, we are more moving into a sustainable alternative like biofuels. Okay, so Global Biofuel Alternative Alliance, Biofuel Alliance is another alternative which also help in climate change. Okay, clear? Global Biofuel Alliance, launched during the G20 Summit 2023, was an important step toward more research and delivery of alternative energy sources in a world still dependent on the fossil fuels. Clear? Okay. Gender equality and women empowerment. Mainly, a women group was introduced on sorry. The women group on empowerment of women was introduced or was a part of G20. Okay, so it also addressed the women empowerment part as well. Social upliftment of women was also addressed during the G20. India's collective and unwavering dedication to campaigning gender equality and empowering all women and girls has now secured a place within the G20 New Delhi Declaration. Agreed to creation of a working group of the empowerment of women. Okay, in its first meeting during Brazilian G20 presidency. Next one is in the Brazil, right? So in that meeting, women working group on women empowerment will be created. Now, technological transformation and digital infrastructure. As I said before, in the New Delhi Global Leader Declaration, New Delhi Leaders Declaration, there was an inclusive and sustainable cooperation in every aspect of the economy. Okay, one of the not only economy, in every aspect in the world, mainly because it introduced economy, digital infrastructure, sustainable development, climate finance, etc. Okay, debt restructuring, everything was involved. So one of the aspect was digital public infrastructure. Okay. Use of technology focused technological transformation and digital public infrastructure. So it will provide more development or economic development, and by that social upliftment will also be taking place. Okay. The technology also caters to visual review meeting as well. Okay. So this means that check and balances are ensured using technology. So physical presence or physical meeting is not required. They will be issuing they will be reviewing every of their declarations and their outcomes of the meetings through virtual review every single time. Okay. So technological aspect will also be that's developed, right? So that is also addressed in the G20. Okay. So we discussed was about the achievements. First one was about the climate change. Climate change was life and mainly of solar biofuel alliance. Okay. The next one was about or adding of African Union to the G20. The third one was about gender empowerment. Mainly, women's group on gender empowerment will be formed, and it will be having its first meeting in the next G20 presidency. Okay. The next one was regarding global south. Okay, the voice of the global south was also addressed. The next one was in the case of democracy, people's G20. According to Prime Minister, this G20 was a people's G20 because in every part of the mostly nearly 200 cities, most of the part of the cities India were covered or meetings were held, and many people of different part of the country were involved in it. Okay. The next one was mainly regarding the technology. Digital public infrastructure and virtual review meeting was will also be done. Okay. Now, okay, then important part we missed was regarding the UNSC. Other members will be supporting our India's permanent membership in United Nations Security Council. Okay. What was your point? India Middle East economic European economic corridor. Okay, this will majorly increase the transportation cooperation, mainly in the railways and sea lines, and thus our trade will be getting increased by 40%. Clear? Now, what are the challenges for G20? Even though G20 was a success, or in G20 we have many achievements, but the challenges are also present in it. First one was China's presence. Okay. The first one was, though we said that in the New Delhi leader declaration, we have got consensus from every individual country. But as I said before, G20 is an intergovernmental organization. Like majorly presidents of many countries took part in it. But in case of China, the president was not present in it. Okay. So there was a participation in this, but the diplomats were mainly present, but president was stayed out of the G20. Okay. China's silent presence. China president decision to stay away from the G20 summit and downgrade China's participation to the level of premier was the sign that despite bonhomie of the consensus at the Delhi Declaration, the world's geopolitical divide still remains. Clear? All other countries' participation were of higher level, that is presidential participation at the level of president. But China stayed out of it. China's president didn't participate, though diplomats were present, and China's president was there, but not at the higher level, unlike other countries. Okay. Next one was implementation of Delhi Declaration. Okay. Okay. New Delhi Declaration, as I said before, was mainly about the sustainable development, inclusive growth, and overall including many aspects of the world, including infrastructure, digital infrastructure, climate, finance, debt structuring, etc. Okay, this is a majorly complicated thing, right? Every aspect should be addressed. So the implementation part will also be getting complicated. So implementation is a challenge. Okay. Next one, the revitalization of multilateralism. As I said before, the multilateral organizations like World Bank, IMF, etc., are also participating in this, and they are also agreed to give grants, etc. But the depth or the the type or amount or etc. need to be verified. Okay, need to be addressed or discussed later. They have just committed for the multilateralism, but they are not. We have not yet discussed about it detail. So it also paves the challenge to it. Okay. Revitalization of multilateralism, making global governance more representative and enhancing the representation and voice of developing countries in decision making. However, resistance of entrenched interests to such reforms in the UN and international financial institutions is well known. You know, G20 consists of only 20 countries, right? But in case of UN mainly, we have 193 countries participation. Okay, even the higher amount of countries or the triple amount of triple countries are mainly participants of UN. Okay, they have not promoted any multiculturalism yet. Okay, there are many what obligations or objections mainly regarding the multiculturalism in the UN groups, etc. Okay, so this also marks a problem or challenge to the implementation of multilateralism. Okay, next one is outcomes of G20 are not binding. Anything is not binding means it may or may not get implemented, right? It is not a hard and fast rule that you should implement this. This could be in paper as well. Okay, if this thing is not implemented, we can't question anybody. Okay, so the non-bind is a problem. Anyone can withdraw its support from it. Even though we have got 100% consensus, any country could withdraw from it. Okay, so that is another problem. G20 meetings can never seen as a transformative. Why? Because it is not binding. After all, it is a premier forum for leaders to deliberate on the unfolding challenges and major crises across countries. It need to be stressed that the outcomes of G20 meetings are neither binding on the G20 members nor the international multilateral bodies. Clear? Not binding because it can be in paper itself. Okay. Next one is African Union is still dependent on foreign support. Though we have taken the African Union as a permanent member, but African Union itself is dependent on foreign countries. Okay, even for grants, etc., developmental purposes, etc. Even G20 members are given, other G20 members are providing grants to it. Okay, so in G20, everyone has equal vote or equal right. But African Union, even though has an equal right or considered same as European Union, but underlyingly it will be like having a debt to other countries as well. Okay. African Union is still dependent on foreign support. The African Union is still too dependent on foreign support, which makes up 65% of its budget. 65% of the African Union is budget of African Union is from other countries. Experts raise concerns about how it can occupy G20 seat and make its own choices without budgetary sovereignty. Clear? So the challenges we address were, first one is China's silent presence. Next one was regarding the non-binding nature of the G20 G20 achievements. Next one was about the African Union's debt non-sovereignty. Next one was regarding the multilateral, okay, UN multilateral, UN and other multilateral government. So implementation will be multilateral bodies, actually, not government, multilateral bodies. So implementation will be a task. Okay. So any doubts till now? I know this is mostly a theory like part, so you'll be like a boring thing, but you need to study this. This is an analysis part only. Okay. We have just analyzed the overall things, what happened in the meeting. What are the achievements? What are the challenges? What should be the challenges we need to address? Okay, what all happened in the G20, etc. So this is like a theory thing only. I don't know, or I don't have anything to say. I don't have any story to tell. So it's a boring thing only, but you need to analyze this. Okay.